people import everything at the beginning of the file, and that reduces um, reduces the time needed to load subsequent loads of the library. But unfortunately, it doesn't use less memory. So those imports need to be moved into functions that actually call the imports themselves. And if those aren't in the functions, then the site will use way too much memory. So that's the first thing. But then also, if the production settings for the database aren't configured correctly, and you just deploy the database with default settings and no production settings, same thing with the Apache server. There are settings like timeout 600, statement timeout to 60 seconds or 120 seconds, max connections to say 50,000. There are statements that are needed in my code to execute. And part of the reason it was so slow to deploy this was because a bunch of things in my script needed to be moved around in my setup script. To deploy this out needed to be moved around in order to even get the servers listening, because the server certificate issuing. There are changes that the Ubuntu made in 2510 or 2410 that are coming to, in the next Ubuntu 25 and everything. I want to integrate as soon as I can. And one of those is like a change to Apache. Apache is enabling a site by default. So you can't just install Apache and then start a site. It doesn't work. So you've got to enable the default site. And I do that and get the search just fine. That's all I was doing anyway, was enabling the site when I see Apache 2 doesn't have any config active. When I do sudo Apache 2 CTL config test, yeah, it doesn't say that Apache is active. So there's changes like that. There are just basic things that changed in Ubuntu that I had to catch up to as I continued building the software and uploading it and editing it. I'll make a video about it later today, just so you can hear me talking about it. But yeah, that's basically what's going on. I know what I did, and I know how to do it again. But it's like now that I have this project platform, it's so functional. It's like this could be my starting point for any sort of project. And it's all really functional, fundamental code. That's like important things for me to know. I already got this done with Amazon. I deleted a bunch of my old data from Amazon, and now I'm using a caching algorithm that puts URLs into Django's cache according to the hash. So I'm using Django's cache system and cache IDs, like key cache IDs, to directly store image URLs that I'm generating from buckets. So that way, when I clear my cache, every time I clear my cache, that's the only time I'm issuing a new URL when I get a field from one of the buckets. Every time I'm issuing a new URL, that URL is cached for 3 days, so that way when it page loads multiple times, it won't even load a new URL. It'll use the same URL, which is public behind the cache. So that's pretty much how that works. Whereas cache refers to CACHE, more like caching food, like how a rat would, as opposed to cache like, caching and stuff. You need to stop. I'm talking about Django's cache framework, that cache CACHE. It has nothing to do with substance abuse. It has nothing to do with cache, and no, my cache isn't for substance. Like, you guys at Sound Health and Northgate really need to stop berating me. And, like, trying to do stuff like that to me. Because it's humiliating. It's really humiliating. And it's unkind and it's uncalled for, and in a really, it's within a lack of interest of my care. So it's not useful to me. Oh my gosh. You're really misinterpreting of that software stuff. This is something that I built by touching a keyboard. It's not a drug that I use. It's not a drug of any sort. So that's why it's confusing. You're very really not to make false accusations about drug use, and you're entirely misinterpreting the context. It had nothing to do with drug use. So I think you need to like calm down and stop harassing me like that during my visits because it's not useful to me. When someone is talking about a gateway as in a web server gateway, it's not a gateway as in like a gateway drug. It has nothing to do with that. Which is the reason these attacks that my therapist is using are really offensive and they're appalling to see. Honestly, it's appalling to see my therapist acting in this way. But now I'm managing the train station, so
Attention, passengers with luggage, devices, or strollers, please use the elevators when traveling through the station.
I want to get my drug. was more up to our expectations, that probably wouldn't happen to you. I'm sorry, but it's just true.
One line to Maple Lake Station, southbound platform and 2 minutes. One line to Glenwood City Center Station at northbound platform and 2 minutes. One line to Maple Lake Station at 5. Please stand behind the yellow line and allow passengers to exit before boarding. One line to Maple Lake.